Let's see, who's our Hassan's fans brigading or Asmongold's fans brigading? That's always the question. On LSF, we've got Dog Lightning based. I wouldn't be surprised if China invaded Taiwan. Hassan would justify it in a heartbeat. All right, is it a DGGer or is it an Asmongolder? Oh, we got a Destiny poster. Okay. We should look at what he said about Taiwan already, because he'd tell you this himself. True. Even Hassan wouldn't deny he's an enemy of America. He hates everything about America. Top 1% commenter. DGGer? Let's go. Hold on, fuck. Ooh, top secret poster. Somebody run his thing through the thing and find out. I like how we're pretending LSF isn't just r/Destiny 2.0 at this point. If you're retarded, that's the take. The reason why it appears to be r/Destiny 2.0 is because the Asmongold community hates Hassan more than they hate me. So any negative posts about Hassan, my community will be there, but Asmongold's community will amplify the fuck out of it as well. But if it's me against Asmongold, then they will shit on me like crazy. Hassan just has too many communities that work against him right now on LSF. XQC, everybody else is going to hate him too. It's whoever is streaming and looking at LSF at the time. I don't think Hassan has enough people now to fight against all of the Asmongolder neo-Nazi people. There have been a lot of Asmon glazing posts lately. Yeah, I mean, his community is huge and he has, yeah, just... But they both hate you, so wouldn't the same logic apply to both of them? What? What? How is that responsive to anything I just said? What I mean is you all hate each other. How is that responsive to anything I just said? Just because people hate each other doesn't mean there's not a ranking. Asmongold's community doesn't like me, but they like me more than Hassan. So if I'm fighting with Hassan, Asmongold's community will basically always side with me. I don't know how, but don't they all hate each other? I don't know how that's responsive to that. Unless you have like 60 IQ. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I had this sorting by best? Oh, whoops. I guess I'm confused then. What's confusing? If me and Hassan are fighting each other, I will always win right now on LSF. Because Asmongold's community hates Hassan way more than they hate me. If I'm fighting with Asmongold on Reddit, I will always lose that fight. Because Hassan and Asmongold's community hates me. And if Hassan is fighting with Asmongold, he'll almost always get destroyed. Although sometimes he won't, because my community is a bit more principled and also hates Asmongold. And sometimes maybe will, depending on what it is. I think he's trying to imply that if that's the case, Asmongold post would also be negative or something. Asmongold has, I think, a lot of viewers that are on this subreddit. But Asmongold does get shit on sometimes. Like when Asmongold is against something I'm saying and it's like very right-wing, then I think Hassan's community will kind of support my downvoting, upvoting, or whatever, or just refrain. Hassan's community definitely hates Destiny more than Asmongold. Like, personally, or like parasocially or whatever, maybe, but politically they're going to disagree with Asmongold more. Okay, Hassan China trip, Lila debate. What's my next? Destiny, Lila, Rose, abortion, debate. When we look at things like...
Shut up!
Man, so I tried to, I'm trying to do, well, anything live is good for practice. And then trying to do like these prepared debates, I think, is good because I need practice with these because a lot of people like this fucking, like the opening statement stuff. Personally, I don't enjoy this format at all, but I figure it's always good to like learn stuff in case I have to do them. Like I want to have the capability of being able to perform well in these. What am I looking for? Oh, so actually I wrote out like a formal, was it really that short? Yeah, it was 1 hour long. You have to be aggressive and mean. You can't be aggressive and mean in a back and forth. It's just timed. There's no opportunity for that either.
Thank you all so much for coming, and a big thank you to...
Don't you usually say tankies hate liberals more than MAGA? Absolutely. However, Hassan's audience is not all tankies. Hassan is the only large voice of the left on Twitch. I don't know what the actual breakdown would be. If I had to guess, it's probably like 30-70 or 40-60 of tankies and like uber progressives. And uber progressives are a little bit too retarded sometimes. They don't realize they're being taken for a ride. That's why you'll see Hassan every now and then, he'll kind of reveal his true self and be like, guys, the social issues are just a distraction. But other times, like more recently, he's been like, guys, the social issues are really important. We got to fight against this horrible immigration policy stuff. And for LGBTQ, it just depends on what mode he's in.
Destiny for making it here today and agree.
Somebody told me that her opening statement was longer than 7 minutes. Was it actually? Because they cut mine off right at 7 minutes. It was. They let her ramble. They let her yap for 8.5 minutes. I went to this debate and I am wondering if you got paid to do it. I don't think so. It's been a long time. Because they paid me for I know at the very least they covered my room and board. I don't remember if they gave me a few $100. I usually don't get paid for anything because I'm too nice. I should charge people. If they paid me, it was like a 3-figure amount, but I think it was just covering room and board. But it was a long time ago they paid me for this because they paid me to doing these in April and I ended up missing it. So this was me making up for it.
Thank you all so much for coming, and a big thank you to Destiny for making it here today and agreeing to this debate. Before we dive into arguments today, I want to tell you about one of the bravest people that I know, my friend, Liana Robledo. When Liana was just 12 years old, she was taking a walk to a supermarket. She was kidnapped and raped in Mexico City. After a suicide attempt, she was taken to the hospital where she learned that she was 13 weeks pregnant. The doctor urged her to abort, telling her that she shouldn't have to live with the consequences of her rape. But Liana asked him this question that left him speechless. She said, will abortion take away the rape? Will the abortion make me feel safe again?
Looks like this isn't part of her opening statement. Maybe that's why she got more than 7. Well, I mean, at the very least, she's there now.
Liana chose life. She gave birth at 13 years old, fought through post-traumatic stress disorder from her assault, worked as a cashier while finishing high school, and by 16 years old was providing for herself and for her daughter. She would end up graduating from UCLA, my alma mater, and she started a nonprofit to support assault and abuse survivors. She says something that I will never forget. Liana says, I've never seen in my daughter the face of my assailants. She's an individual who had nothing to do with that. 2 lives were saved. I saved my daughter's life, and she saved mine. Liana's story frames tonight's question that we are here to debate. Should abortion be legal? Here is the core case that I present. It is always wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human life. Abortion is the act of intentionally killing an innocent human life. Therefore, abortion is always wrong and must be illegal. Let's be clear about what abortion actually is.
I also need to ask her raw footage of debates when you negotiate. The hijab debate was insane. I'm pretty sure Oxford's going to post theirs. It just takes them a while. Mohammed Hijab doesn't have the Oxford footage. He brought his own camera crew out there to record his own video. Like Oxford, that's not the Oxford footage. That's his own camera crew's footage.
Because it's often used in conversations and debates euphemistically. Abortion is the direct and intentional killing of a preborn child. Abortion kills a child via multiple methods. One of them includes a child being ripped apart limb from limb while still alive with forceps or vacuum suction. Or the abortion may involve stabbing the child in the heart or the brain with a large needle, injecting poison that can cause a heart attack. Or it can involve draining the child's blood until the heart stops. In chemical abortion with pills, the child is starved to death of nutrients,
You have to be able to insult back. Yeah, I'm definitely not capable of doing that. Like on the Mohammed Hijab debate, you should have said something about how you were thinking about converting to Islam because you always try to focus on. Well, I mean, like I'm at Oxford. Like I feel like the forum is a little bit more than that. I don't know. That just felt very weird. My mind was not. I don't know. I don't even know what. I wouldn't expect. I don't know.
Nutrients until it is killed. Every day in America, over 2,800 children are being killed by abortion. This is wrong. Just like it should be illegal to kill humans outside the womb, it should be illegal to kill humans inside the womb. Now, here's what might surprise you. Based on previous comments that Destiny has made, including in conversations that he and I have had, Destiny has actually said that he agrees with some of the pro-life argument. He has said before that he agrees that it is wrong to kill innocent human persons. He also has, well, he disagrees with when life begins, and we'll talk about that in a minute. He argues that human life begins when a preborn child has the capacity for conscious experience, which he says is between 16 and 20 weeks. This does create some common ground. First, according to these past debates Destiny has done, we both agree that abortion should be illegal after 20 weeks. Second, we agree that if there's a living human being in the womb, bodily autonomy arguments don't work. Bodily autonomy doesn't give me permission to take another person's body and kill an innocent human life. Parents also are obligated to care for their children, and those obligations require using our bodies, both for the unborn child and for a born child. So we agree in the sense that my body, my choices argument fails. Third, we've even agreed that in cases of rape or incest, like my friend Liana, if there's a living human being in the womb, that child should not be killed. And finally, we agree that if there's a living human being in the womb, there should be penalties for those that take that child's life deliberately. So the question is, where do we disagree? Where does Destiny and I disagree? And of course, he'll share more here shortly. Our disagreement seems to boil down to one key question: when does human life begin? I agree with the science that human life begins at fertilization. Destiny believes that it begins at the capacity for conscious experience. Here's the problem. Consciousness is fluid, not fixed. The brain constantly grows and develops throughout pregnancy and our entire lives. Brain development continues until ages 25 up to 30. In fact, many of us in this room, our brains are still developing.
Sorry, this guy spammed this question 400 times. Sorry if you already answered this. You've said in the past that you don't really agree with Sock Dems or Demsocks politically. Given that, how do you feel about the Mamdani victory? I don't feel much about it. He's a New York City mayor. I don't have strong feelings about it. I'm glad that he won probably over Cuomo, I guess. I'm definitely glad he won over Republican, but I mean, he's the New York City mayor. Personally, I would identify as a Sock Dem in terms of the policies I support. I just don't like to publicly say Sock Dem because I find at this point most Sock Dems are just mask on fucking tankies online. So I would just say liberal or center-left liberal, but
in and out of consciousness daily. And in the evening, you will go out of consciousness evening. In the womb, brainwaves are detectable at just 6 weeks from fertilization. At 9 weeks, the child can suck, swallow, suck her thumb, swallow grass objects, touch her face, sigh, and stretch. Neuron multiplication is especially rapid around 15 weeks. In this process of rapid development, where exactly do we draw the line to determine some should be protected and some shouldn't? It's impossible. Many of us have no memory before the ages of 3 or 4. Maybe very rarely 2.5. You might have a memory, but it's very rare. 3 or 4 is usually the mark. Does that mean that it is okay to kill children before memory? Of course not. Here's another illustration. Imagine that you're sound asleep, not even dreaming. Someone comes into the room and kills you with some painless gas poison in the air that kills you in your sleep. You have no awareness of this happening. You've just drifted from sleep to death. Is that okay? You're not conscious. Of course not. It's first-degree murder. Life and murder aren't defined by someone's present capacity for consciousness or conscious experience. We would never kill someone in a temporary coma. It would be wrong. We should also never kill a human being who will have a future conscious experience, like the unborn. All human beings have a capacity for consciousness according to our nature. It is our human nature to develop consciousness. That is a natural capacity that we have, which is different from the active capacity based on development when we can deploy that consciousness. A preborn child or a newborn child has a rational nature even though they haven't actively developed it yet. Today, abortion advocates say that unborn children are not persons, so they can be aborted at will. But every atrocity historically has begun with that lie. They're not one of us. This group of people is not one of us, and therefore it can be justified to kill them. The medical science here is clear. The developing human, a medical textbook states, quote, human development begins at fertilization. This highly specialized cell marks the beginning of each of us as a unique individual. And even Peter Singer, who is a avid pro-abortion advocate who even supports ending the lives of newborns within the first 3 to 6 months, especially if they have a disability. He thinks that's morally illicit. He says there is no doubt from the first moments of its existence, an embryo conceived from human sperm and
why am I on camera right now? Go to her.
Eggs is in fact a human being. Our founding principle in this country is that all humans are created equal and endowed with that fundamental first right, which is life. The 14th Amendment promises equal protection under the law for all persons. If preborn children are human, and the science confirms that, they deserve protection. After Roe v. Wade was overturned, states protecting life saw abortion rates plummet. Texas saw a 99% decline in legal in-state abortions. The law is a teacher. It restrains evil and it protects the vulnerable. So, should abortion be legal? No, not if we believe in science, equality, and human rights. The right to life, your right to life, my right to life, does not depend on consciousness, convenience, circumstances, your development, or your dependency. It depends on the simple fact that you are human. All human beings should be protected from murder from the moment we are conceived until natural death. So let's choose life, let's protect the preborn, and let's build a culture where every child is loved, welcomed, and protected.
8.5 minutes, what the fuck? I fucked up too in that I wrote my opening statement because I timed myself reading this and it was way too close to 7 minutes because I wanted to speak a little slower than I normally do, but I got hardcore sped up through this. Oh, and I even cut my conclusion out and I saved it for the end. I'm pretty sure they like got me right at 7 minutes for mine. What the fuck?
Person is the name that we give to the complex emergent phenomenon generated by the underlying physical structures of the human brain. To pretend otherwise is to strain one's imagination and force one to adopt a position that is both unreasonable and unintuitive. At times, it's possible to over-intellectualize things to the point of absurdity. Like a painter taking a step back to look at his entire canvas, or a composer putting down his pen to play and listen to what he's crafted so far. It's good to occasionally take a step back and explore intuitions to ensure they haven't strayed too far from what is reasonable and what is real. If we have a clear and unambiguous ending for a thing, such as a person's life, then why not investigate that ending to see if we can get any hints as to how it begins? Let's ask ourselves, when do we consider a human person no longer a human person, but just a human body? Is it after their corpse fully decomposes? Is it when their heart stops beating? Is it when they lose a limb? Of course, we all know the answer to this question. It's when their brain loses the ability to host the mind. We could consider, is it truly the brain that's so special? But of course it is. There could be no other answer. If I replace your arm with a bionic prosthetic, are you still a person? What about both arms? What about your heart? Or how about your eyes and ears? If you awoke in a mad scientist laboratory and he was going to separate your head from your body, but he only had the technology to keep one of these two things alive, would you choose your body or your head? Anyone who's played Wolfenstein 2 will know the answer to that question. Okay, getting rid of the rest of my video game jokes in here. All right, okay. No, it's all good, it's all good. Really though, deep down, we all know the answer to that.
The audience laughed. They didn't mic the audience. They did laugh more than that, okay? They intentionally didn't mic the audience for this. Fuck this editing.
Question. Placing a person's head or brain would not only fundamentally alter who they are, destroying it would change the very nature of what they are and turn them into something that's not quite a human person. Even without mad scientist hypotheticals, we can look to the real world and see what neurodegenerative diseases do to a person and how those people around that person respond. What is more devastating than to lose a person we love to the horrors of mind diseases like dementia? How many times have you heard a complaint from someone that a parent or grandparent truly died long ago and yet their body still remains? It's plainly obvious that a sufficiently developed brain hosts a uniquely human mind, and this is the thing that makes us who we are and grants us the same personhood that we recognize in others. It is the thing we cherish most and is the thing we try to protect when we speak of morality and law. In this debate, Lila's going to bounce between a lot of different words in order to try and force your intuitions to stray from where they would be otherwise. She'll casually swap words like child and fetus and embryo and human and person in order to confuse and obscure, but make no mistake, this confusion is not by accident, it's by design. She'll try to say that an embryo is not simply an embryo, but a human embryo, as though the answer to the beginning of life was always hidden in a Merriam-Webster dictionary waiting for someone to read it. I have a feeling that if the answer were that simple, we probably would have solved this debate a long time ago. I will remind the audience as well that the potential of a thing is not the thing itself. The human embryo, were it to have some features that were worth moral protection, would be worth protecting in the present all on its own. Instead, constant allusions will be made to the future of the embryo. If anything, I treat this as an immediate concession that the embryo is indeed without moral value, which is why Lila will need so desperately to invoke the future of the thing to salvage any moral value from it at all. Lila will argue that a person begins at the instantaneous moment of conception as though conception were a single moment in time. What is she even defining conception as? Is it the moment the egg recognizes the sperm to permit entry? Is it when the egg no longer permits the entry of any other sperm? Is it when membrane fusion has fully finished? Is it when the first set of chromosomes have made copies of themselves, or is it after they've divided into pairs? Conception is just as much a multi-stage process as pregnancy, and to pretend as though there is one spark at a very precise moment in time that defines the entirety of conception is to scientifically misunderstand and misstate the process. Lila will argue that unique DNA is what makes us human, but for some reason this doesn't apply to hair or skin or any other cells in the human body. She will say that a zygote with its own DNA can go on to develop to become its own human, but what if identical twins that split from the same zygote to become two? Does Lila consider identical twins two halves of the same soul or mind? Are they each their own person? Do the death of one person give way to two? Lila will make arguments relating to law, but why? It was only a few years ago that abortions were more widely permitted in the United States, and certainly Lila was no fan of those laws back then. I've heard her make references, and she just did earlier, to the 14th Amendment and the guaranteed equal protections, but why does she only consider those protections with regards to the rights of the fetus while completely ignoring the rights of the pregnant woman? And all of this while ignoring the first three words of the 14th Amendment she cites, which are all persons born. Think about the kind of world that Lila's positions would commit us to. We would need identities, legal documentations, and protections for every single newly conceived zygote. Due to the high rate of natural miscarriage, every single conception would need to be registered at a local government office for tracking. If the zygote is not eventually delivered as a human baby, a criminal investigation should be required to determine the cause of death. Why wouldn't it be, unless we're admitting that a zygote is worth less than a baby outside the womb? The CDC estimates that about 1 million miscarriages a year occur in the United States. Forget child protective services, we need a whole fetal protective services just to keep track of the massive loss of life already occurring according to Lila's framework. Also, consider that Lila is demanding that we place a higher burden on a raped child than we would on an adult attempting murder. Even in the case of attempted murder, we would never demand the assailant donate their organs from their own body to the victim in order to sustain the victim's life. Yet, for some reason, we would make the same demand of a young girl who's committed no crime. Far from mandating parents to donate blood or tissue to their children, we actually have special carve-outs for groups like Jehovah's Witnesses that bar their children from receiving life-saving blood donations. Yet in Lila's world, we would force mothers to commit to donating 9 months of their own body to an entity that hasn't yet even developed the capacity for thought. In Scooby-Doo, how is it that a gang of meddling kids and their talking dog always seem to get the best of the monsters they encounter? It's because once the mask is lifted, the monster is not a monster at all. It's simply a person masquerading as such. Lila's arguments against abortion are very much the same. Her worldview is entirely informed by her religion, and the mask of logic is only applied after the fact to sway those who would otherwise be unconvinced by religious arguments. Think if abortion were, as Lila would have you believe, the crime of infanticide, of murdering an innocent baby child, one would imagine she would be compelling us to do everything within our power to limit the amount of abortions that happen. And yet Lila is a relentless advocate for the very same behaviors that tend to produce the most amount of unwanted pregnancy. Lila believes in abstinence-only education, claims that contraception is immoral, and thinks that even forms of sex outside of penis and vagina intercourse are immoral as well. Lila believes that every single time two people come together, it should be only with procreation in mind, as sex was only designed by God for a husband and a wife to conceive. There is no way to collectively rationalize all these positions unless one accepts that her positions on these matters are simply entirely informed by her religion. Every position related to sex, contraception, children, and yes, abortion are ultimately grounded in her religious beliefs. Her secular argument for a pro-life position is nothing more than
Thank you for your opening remarks, Destiny. That's the time.
I think they got me right at the 7-minute mark. He didn't let me finish my last sentence. Did he? Hold on. I'm curious what the timer was on this.
Loved, welcomed, and protected.
person is the name that.
Okay, 8:35 to.
Every position related to sex, contraception, children, and yes, abortion are ultimately grounded in her religious beliefs. Her secular argument for a pro-life position is nothing more than.
Thank you for your opening remarks, Destiny. That's
Okay, 7:05.
the time.
Thank you for your comment.
You let yourself get cut off too easily. Just finish your point. Well, that was literally my last sentence. And you just let me finish. Collectively rationalize all these positions, unless one accepts that her position on all these matters is simply entirely from her religion. Every position related to sex, contraception, children, and yes, abortion, all being grounded in her religious beliefs. Her secular argument for a pro-life position is nothing more than a monster in disguise. Because it's tied up my Scooby-Doo analogy. And he got me like on word 4 of the sentence.
Comments and remarks, Destiny. So first of all, Destiny's entire case, I want to respond to some of the things he said and debunk them, but first of all, his entire case rests on this idea that it's okay to exclude an entire group of human beings from legal protection, that meaning it should be a free-for-all to end their lives, and we should permit the ending of their lives based on what standard? And he sort of referenced a standard of consciousness because he made some comment about how at the end of life we should be able to identify what is different, what makes a person's life end, and therefore at the beginning of life we should look to that same standard for the beginning of the life, which never backing up that statement. I want to present as an example the case of Jax. Jax is a young boy who died at age 5. He was born with severe anencephaly, so he was not able to have most of the conscious experience that any other person in this room may enjoy. And Jax was missing.
I should have had more. I think I should have had one or two personal examples ready to go. The mothers that died of sepsis or whatever, I think, because she leans in on these a lot.
Pretty much all of his brain. He had his brain stem still intact. By Destiny's argument, Jax would be less of a person, less status of a person because he is missing most of his brain. Your brain does not make you a human. Your body parts do not.
It's also hard without being able to see the videos too. Like this Jax baby was not alive. This thing, it sounds mean to say, like it really does, and I don't mean to be, is it Buell? Whatever this was, is not, there's nothing happening in here. This baby is literally missing like the whole middle and late section of its brain. It just has a brain stem. It can do very, very, very basic like movement things, and then it can do what you need for like homeostasis. Like it can breathe and have a heart beating, but it doesn't respond to any external stimuli at all. No sound, no visual stuff. Like it's just, and it's super sad watching the parents interact with this. Like, yeah. But I mean, that sounds mean to say, especially if you can't see videos of it, but Jesus.
Not make you a human. It is your composite that makes you a human. And Jax, just like every other human life, should be protected. We don't protect people based on their development. We don't protect people based on their powers. We don't protect people even based on whether or not they're conscious in any given moment or have developed consciousness. We should protect people based on the fact that they're a member of the human species. Your membership in the human species should give you protection under our legal code. Any other argument leads to great injustice and has historically and continues to lead to that injustice today. Now, Destiny made a number of remarks here arguing against my position, saying, first of all, that our position of making children in the womb legally protected would somehow mean that we would need to create legal identities for every unborn child. It's not workable, therefore, he was arguing, which is completely false, because you don't need to create legal documentation for unborn children. We've had abortion ban before, we didn't need to do that, and we can have abortion ban now, as we have in many states, and we don't need to do that. So that was an argument that I believe is false. He also said that because miscarriage rates are so high, therefore, that would mean that we cannot investigate every single death, and therefore, we should just allow abortions to happen, I suppose is the argument there. Again, false. We have a 100% death rate as human beings. We will all die at one point or another in our life. We will have our life ended, and usually that will be when we are elderly. You don't investigate every person's death who is an elderly because we know that we have a natural lifespan. Similarly, because miscarriage is a tragedy, I've had one myself, that would mean that you don't have to investigate every single death of a child that's very young and assign a police force to be investigating every miscarriage, as Destiny seemed to imply. Also, Destiny said that mothers are somehow forced to donate 9 months of their life, and this is somehow wrong. In past debates, Destiny has made the argument that it actually is licit for parents, and parents should have obligations, and that if they're past this arbitrary line of 20 weeks, then therefore they have the obligation then to care for that child, even if there's a difficult pregnancy or if there was rape or something like this. I'm curious if that is still Destiny's case or if he's changed his mind.
I don't like this alluding to past positions, I guess. Maybe it can be if she feels like I'm being disingenuous about mine, but it's like I'm here to present my positions now. I don't know why.
But the bottom line is that there is something called parenthood that we've all enjoyed, or some sort of legal guardianship that we've all enjoyed. All of us were ushered in through shepherded safely through pregnancy until birth, and we were all dependent at one point in our life. This is the natural state of the human person to begin their life dependent, and often we will end our lives dependent. It is essential for a just and functioning society to protect those that are dependent members of our human family. And that is why parents not just have rights, but they have responsibilities to care for their children, and that right begins, and that responsibility begins in the womb. Destiny also says that my position is completely based on religion. You heard my opening remarks. That is not correct. I can absolutely make a pro-life argument.
To be fair, you brought up her past positions on contraception. Well, those are her current positions on contraception, 100%.
Argument from religion, multiple different world religions actually, but my position was argued from a foundational principle that our country was founded on, which is that we have a right to life and we should be given equal protection under the law.
I'm behind, but I'm 99% sure it was Vosh who said he doesn't like music, not Hassan. No, Hassan said it as well.
Based on the 14th Amendment. And finally, Destiny made a comment about contraception, saying that Lila only wants to allow for sex that is only used for procreation and nothing else, which is a misrepresentation of my position. The reality is 9 out of every 10 people who have abortions are unmarried. Abortions is largely an unmarried people issue in our country because of premarital sex and the sexual revolution. People don't take responsibility anymore for the consequences of sex, which can naturally result in pregnancy. We have seen it now as our right to have sexual pleasure without commitment or responsibility or the lives that may come into existence. And the reality is every single human life.
I don't know how she says that I'm mischaracterizing her position, but then it sounds like she just says that that is exactly what she believes in. So I'm not sure what
life that comes into existence has a right to live. And that is why one of the many reasons why there should be sexual ethics. I think within a marriage, of course, sex is for 2 things. It's for procreation and it also is for unity and pleasure between the spouses.
Apologies
it was
for
a
the
misrepresentation
interruption,
of
but
the
we've reached
position.
the end of your allotted time.
Thank you.
So one of the statements that Lila makes is that I'm claiming that it's okay to exclude entire groups of human beings. I will say that we do bracket different rights for different human beings. If you're a minor, there's a whole bunch of things you're not allowed to do. You can't sign contracts. You can't engage in a lot of different types of things. Like we already have an understanding that people of a certain age are bracketed different rights, but I'll be generous and we'll say, obviously, we're talking about whether or not you can kill a person or what you can do with this person's body. I will say that when we look at people who are in permanent vegetative states that are never coming back, when they've been kept on life support for some amount of time and we see that there's some brain activity, we do terminate the vital functions of those people. If you look at a corpse that is a human corpse, the same rights are not extended to the human corpse that is extended to a living, thinking, breathing human being. So clearly there's something more at play than just being a human or just having a human body. The thing at play is very clearly the capacity to deploy our minds. It's our minds, the things that we are. When we speak of harm, we always speak of a person being harmed. If I separate my arm from my body and somebody does a whole bunch of things to my separated arm, I wouldn't even refer to that thing as me anymore. It would just be my arm. But who is me? Who am I referring to? Is clearly the mind that's being deployed by my brain. I think it's very obvious to say such. When we look at things like this common argument that's brought up is that like, well, what about if a person is sleeping? What about if a person is, they get knocked out on playing kickball too much or something? And the idea that these people have somehow temporarily lost their humanity, in my view, there's a person to speak of there when we talk about who might be unconscious. I can't speak of a person when I talk about a fetus as being unconscious. It's not conscious. It doesn't even have the capacity to become conscious. If a friend were to take me to a McDonald's and we were to go outside and it was just a bunch of construction materials and he said, oh, sorry, it's McDonald's, but it's not going to be here for 9 months. I would say, this is not a McDonald's, bro. It's not even here yet. If a friend would take me to a McDonald's just closed 30 minutes ago and he said, hey, this is McDonald's, I promise, but it closed 30 minutes ago, I can see that it's there. It's just not currently performing the function that I would hope from a McDonald's because it's currently closed. The same way that a sleeping person is not the same as a person who isn't even born or created yet. It's just a sleeping person who can redeploy that conscious experience at any point in time and who has a meaningful experience that we can speak about that would have asserted some preference while it was existing as a thinking mind, which a fetus has never done. We have weird arguments about like we don't investigate every single time a person dies. You kind of do. If an old person dies in a hospital or the causes are known and observed, then obviously you fill out the death certificate and you're done with it. But there are investigations into old person's homes all the time when old people are dying for reasons that people don't think they should be. Generally, child death is something that we're not normally.
It's a really weird argument for saying we don't investigate when old people die. We absolutely I don't understand if you could just like call the I don't even know who you would call. Would you just put grandma's corpse in the trash can and call like the waste management? Like, hey, just I grandpa's corpse is outside. Can you just go ahead and trash it for me? You just like do that? Like,
expecting to happen. And I don't think that we would be okay with a 1 or 2 year old suddenly dying in a home without some kind of investigation, maybe not criminal, but at least some kind of preliminary investigation to make sure that nothing bad happened. Sometimes this argument about abortion and rape comes up when it has to do with underage people or really any person. And I hear this weird argument floated that the reason why you shouldn't have an abortion if you've been raped is because an abortion won't heal the first rape. I truly don't understand this argument. When I go to the doctor to heal a wound, I'm not looking for them to get rid of the pain of the initial wound. I'm hoping that I don't have to endure additional infection or other complications related to said wound. If a person is raped and as a result of that rape, they are now pregnant, when you're having an abortion, you're not looking to undo the conception. You're looking to undo the following 7, 8, 9 months of having to carry a child that you never even wanted in your body in the first place. I notice there's a lot of moral loading when it comes to abortion. We can talk about the forceps and the vacuums and everything else, but every time I hear this, it just feels like we're trying to move away from the actuality of what it is we're talking about, which is whether or not there's a person that exists whatsoever inside of the however many cells the zygote has divided into before it actually has developed the underlying brain parts needed to even deploy the minds that we consider worth defending as people. I thought the stat of the 99% decline in legal abortions in Texas was a good one, considering if you make something illegal, of course, there's going to be a massive decline in all legal abortions, given that they're not legal any longer.
That was such a
I'm
weird
also quite familiar with the case of Jax. I believe Jackson, I think Heel or Buell or whatever was the last name. Unfortunately, sometimes there are things that go perfectly wrong when things are gestating in the womb. In the case of Jax, I believe it was like microhydroencephaly or whatever, but basically there were huge portions of the brain that just didn't develop. And the parents kept this child alive for 4 or 5 years, and it's tragic, but if you look at the child, if you watch the child during any of the speeches or any of the interactions, the child is clearly not conscious, not aware of the environment, not aware of anything that's going on around it. He responds to no stimulus. He is not capable of interacting with the parents in any meaningful way. And you can see this in any video that you watch of the child. And I think it's a bit sad sometimes that parents are kind of kept on this delusional string, hoping that something's going to change because they've been told something by somebody when in reality, those brain parts will never grow and that child will never have an experience that is anything like ours. You claim to be able to argue.
I should have substituted in there. This is a family that could have had a happy, healthy baby and had an addition to their family instead of keeping what was essentially a corpse alive on life support that could barely roll around. I could have made that a more positive argument, but like putting something positive and start just detracting or attacking the other.
Something by somebody when in reality those brain parts will never grow and that child will never have an experience that is anything like ours. You claim to be able to argue this topic from a rational, secular perspective. So then I would ask you, like I ask myself with any position that I hold, what would it take to change your mind on this topic?
It would take to prove that abortion does not take an innocent human life.
What would it
It's
take
impossible because that's what it's designed to do.
What would it take to prove to you that a life doesn't begin at the very moment of conception, or that the mind is required, or is there anything that could move you on any of
Yeah,
this?
I mean, if the science conclusively said, oh, we were all wrong, the science doesn't show that life begins at sperm egg fusion when a single cell embryo comes into existence.
Her answers here are so weird. I'm not even capable of, I needed to reduce myself a lot here. When like science doesn't tell us when, like none of these statements are like logically parsable. If science told us that life didn't begin, it's like, but like a sperm is alive, like an egg is alive. Like these are living things that either have metabolic functions or some biological purpose. I needed to think faster here. These are just like such not good answers. But I'm like mind fucked and trying to navigate these.
And somehow that was completely wrong for, decades, hundreds of years even now, then I'd look at that and say, wow, that's such an interesting thing that's wrong. And then we would look at, well, when does life begin?
If somebody could imbue you with the ability to have memories of every single moment of your life, even before your brain would ordinarily record memories, and the first memory that you had was about 20 weeks in the womb, and you couldn't possibly remember being a single-cell zygote without the capacity for any kind of sensory input or any kind of memory at all, would that change your mind on it at all, or no?
No, I don't think memory is what gives me value as a human being or legal protection. I mean, when someone gets Alzheimer's, very tragically, my grandmother, towards the end of her life,
Like, this is non-responsive to my question. I don't think memory is what, that's not what I'm asking.
suffered from dementia. It wasn't clear if it
I
was
should have cut her off more too, because I think she was a lot more aggressive in cutting me off here.
full-on Alzheimer's or not, but she lost almost all of her memory. And she was just as much a human person as she was when she had her memory intact. And it would have been morally wrong and should be illegal to take the life of.
Hey, Destiny, what do you think about the fact that some of the most hardcore, well-educated people who have really strong views on pro-life are also women? Do you feel weird advocating for pro-choice as a man? No, I mean, a lot of people have. I mean, I imagine most of the strongest opinions on abortion are probably going to come from women on the pro-life or pro-choice side.
Of my grandmother.
Should women who have a high chance of miscarriage be banned from trying to conceive?
No.
So even if it was 50% chance of miscarriage, is there any other world where we would accept two adults engaging in a behavior that killed a child half the time it
and it's for
happened?
the same reason that I don't think that we should ban people. It's Margaret Sanger as an example, right? The founder of Planned Parenthood. Her argument was that we should not permit those that were less fit to breed, to have children. And she actually wanted a two-child policy. She wanted to sterilize. She actually proposed, and she actually was successful in having forced sterilizations of those that she saw as mentally unfit. Just because someone may die, they're sick, because someone might have perceived lower IQ than someone else. That doesn't.
Like, I only get 5 minutes for my question period. I shouldn't let her yap so much on this. Yeah.
Might have perceived lower IQ than someone else. That doesn't
Here we're
mean
talking
that
about-
they shouldn't live and have a right to be protected the same way that anybody else does.
Sure. So I guess what I'm asking, I'm not necessarily asking from the perspective of the child, although kind of, in the child being unfit. I'm just saying that if there's some reason why 50% of the time the mother were to miscarriage, and that could be known ahead of time, are they not killing half the time every time they attempt to conceive some new life?
Do you see the moral? There's a very profound moral distinction between a natural death, a death that is caused naturally, it's not intended and directly caused by another human person, and then a death that is directly caused and intended by another human person. One is a murder and one is a tragedy. In life, people die. We will all die.
Like, we try to avoid tragedies. Oh God, these talking points are so not. I feel like I prepared so hardcore for the hard answers on this that I was not ready for. I needed to I don't know what I needed to do for this.
Whether we directly caused and intended by another human person. One is a murder and one is a tragedy. In life, people die. We will all die, whether we are miscarried before we were even born, or we die at age 10 or age 20, or we hopefully live to be 100 years old. But the fact that you will die, whether very young or very old, doesn't change your humanity or your parents' right to, in love, conceive you and bring you into the world for however long or short that may be.
But there's no other circumstance you can think of where somebody could engage in a behavior that is so reckless that they know that there's a 50% chance of their child dying should they engage in that behavior, right?
Well, you could say that you could use that line of argumentation, Destiny, to say that people that have severe genetic health issues, or they're a carrier for a severe disability that's life-limiting or threatening, right? They shouldn't be allowed to have children.
That's not even what we're
and this was the
talking
argument of
about.
Margaret Sanger, right? A eugenicist, that if you are a carrier for some genetic
Basically, you should have mind mapped every argument and don't assume. What? No, I wouldn't have been able to mind map these. I don't think I would have been able to, legitimately, because I thought about it afterwards. Like, maybe I should have. I don't think I would have mind mapped these, because I did actually. Wait, I did mind map a lot of arguments. It was on my counter argument section. These were the ones that I was more prepared for. Person begins at the moment of conception, as that is when a unique genome is formed. This is the most common one I hear. That's when your DNA is formed. Conception begins the potentiality of life. If left to develop, it will become a person. This is kind of like a teleological argument for the purpose of a human being, the purpose of a womb. Science tells us that life begins at the moment of conception. I thought we were going to maybe more in the weeds on at the very moment of sperm fertilization, this is where things begin. If one can kill a fetus, one can kill a sleeping or conscious person. So differentiating between different types of consciousness, I guess. Profoundly disabled people missing large sections of your brain. Could you kill somebody who is sufficiently trait differentiated from a human? And then people are persons because they have souls given to them by God. I thought maybe we would get into kind of religious, but the whole some people might just die from giving birth half the time, but that's okay because it's natural. I don't think I would have ever. I thought this was a banger question, and I don't think I would have ever prepared for that counter argument, because I think I wrote out where was I? Oh, should women who have a high chance of miscarriage be banned from conceiving? What percentage should that be? At 50%, it seems obvious that a woman shouldn't be allowed to even try to conceive. Should sex be illegal for these people? If you say no, is there any other behavior that you could think of where we would accept some percentage of totally avoidable child death occurring? If two parents are having sex in bed, knowing their child was sleeping underneath, and there was some percentage chance of the bed falling on their child and killing it, would you be okay with that parent having sex? With the parents having sex, what makes this different? But her answers were so sometimes tragedies happen and it's okay. I don't know. I was mind fucked. I got too mind fucked by the answers. I couldn't do it. Yeah, Jesus.
Normality that could lead to the death of a future child, short-lived life, or they have a severe disability, somehow they should not be able to conceive and procreate. And I would say, no, every life has value and should have legal protection regardless of how long they live, how developed they are or not developed. Or
These are tier 0 retard takes. Isn't disease natural? Withholding medical care. Yeah, there's like so many like if I sit down and think of it now, it's like there's obviously, first of all, again, tragedies are things that we avoid. So the idea that something might happen naturally, like if I go out camping and I leave my baby in the tent and a bear comes by and eats it, that's very natural. That's a supernatural part of the world. But we wouldn't say that's okay. If I was forgetful such that half the time I went out camping, I left a baby to die to get eaten by a bear, I don't think anybody would accept that. I think I would be held morally responsible, arguably for murder in that circumstance, or at least manslaughter. You're leaving your baby. You know this is possible. It's foreseeable. Like you absolutely should avoid this thing. But then for her to pivot to the Margaret Thatcher, Sanger, the abortion lady, and it's just natural death. It's different than intentional death. Like I wasn't ready for that one. I got mind fucked on it. It's like, what?
And procreate. And I would say, no, every life has value and should have legal protection regardless of how long they live, how developed they are or not developed, or how dependent they are or not dependent.
Do you think that for people that have miscarriages, do you think that there should be some kind of an investigation to make sure that miscarriage wasn't induced?
No, I don't. I don't.
What would prevent any other person from trying to induce a miscarriage, maybe excessive drinking or whatever else, physical trauma?
Unfortunately, the law is a teacher. The law absolutely has an impact on lessening crime, but it doesn't eliminate crime altogether.
No, but we would still pass laws to try to curb crime, right?
Of course, yeah.
So would you ever think
we enforce within reason? For example, in this country, we do not have cameras in every home. It's not like the government is surveilling every home to determine.
Like, this is a crazy line of argumentation. We don't allow 1-year-old babies to fucking die with no investigation. What are we talking
whether or
about?
not child abuse or neglect or other illegal acts are taking place. And there's a reason for that. It's not because we don't care about children and we don't want them to be abused or neglected, but it's because that would be an encroachment on the rights of the family to their privacy. So
that is true, but we would absolutely investigate the death of a 1-year-old in a household. We wouldn't just leave that to say, oh, it must have been.
Yes, because it's unusual for a 1-year-old to die. Unfortunately.
But then she changes completely, but then she swaps completely. Wait, so we would investigate all of them.
I apologize for the interruption.
It's not unusual for a child.
And then I got cut off. The reason also why I didn't dive too deep on my questions, because I could have gone deeper on some of these. Thank you, Tornado82 Tier 5. Is because I knew I was time limited. And she was yapping a lot on the responses.
In the first trimester. So we both talked about baby Jax. Do you think that because, and you said he doesn't have consciousness, you haven't went as far to indicate that in your speech. Do you think that because baby Jax is missing most of his brain and doesn't have consciousness, in your view, he should not have a right to live?
Right now, if the parents want to have that child and have that experience.
Does he have a right? If the parents wanted to execute him, do they have the right to do that?
Yeah, I think they could have terminated that pregnancy at any point in time, yes.
But as a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old, does baby Jax have the right to live, or can he be executed?
I think you can make the argument that they've already committed to having it. They can't change their mind at that point.
Why? Why? He doesn't have consciousness. That's
because I think in terms of,
value.
I guess, the moral answer or the legal answer?
The legal answer.
The legal answer is if I don't think you can create a world where you're giving birth to some children and then changing your mind a year or two later.
But Destiny, your legal position hinges on consciousness as the standard for human value.
It doesn't. My moral position does. She's switching between these a ton.
Under the law. Baby Jax, according to your own statement, does not have human consciousness. Why would it be wrong to take his life at 2 or 3 years old?
So my legal position maximizes the right of a woman to do what she will with her body, because the most important part of my legal position is I'm trying to counterbalance the potential mishap of killing a human that might be a mind or a person before 20 weeks, whenever I decide, whatever the science says on that. And I'm trying to balance that against the mother's right to have an autonomy to her body, the right to her body to not be invaded.
As you mentioned yourself, it is a big responsibility to take care of a child with disabilities at 2 or 3.
Sure, but completely different than having to give your body to it. And that balance is on once the child is born.
Let's say baby Jax at, let's say, 6 months old. Baby Jax at 6 months old was completely 100% dependent on the bodies of his parents.
He was not.
We do this a little bit, but she tries to do this argument again of like using your body is the same as working for a thing. Like
breasts of his mother if he was breastfeeding.
No,
so,
it's not.
Yes, he was.
He wasn't living inside the body of any of them.
Did baby Jax feed himself?
No, but he can be fed. He doesn't have to.
Oh my God. I should ban you for not giving me that saying beforehand. Bro, every time she says executed, you should use your own euphemism like transferred to heaven. Oh my God, that would have been I think we should have transferred the baby to heaven sooner. Oh my God, that would be a keynote. That would be a keynote turn of phrase. I can't believe you weren't here for the debate prep.
Who feeds baby Jax? Is it a robot?
It could be the dad, it could be the mom, it could
and
be
are
the
they
sibling.
using their body to feed baby Jax?
I mean, in that case, we're using our body for everything.
Yes.
But that's become so reductively absurd that it doesn't really make sense anymore.
It's not reductively absurd. This is why parents can go to jail for parental neglect if they don't use their bodies to care for their children.
No, this is why when you put a person in jail, you can imprison a person, you can deprive them of all sorts of rights, but you can't take parts of their body in order to make another person whole. There's no part.
It follows that means just abortion.
There is no other part you can conceive of past conception where we're taking people's bodies and using them for
Let's ask you to define consciousness. You still haven't done this. Because this is your entire legal standard for some people that get to live and some people that can. No, it is your legal standard for people that get to live and people that get to die. What is consciousness?
I think that there are parts of the brain, I think it's called the thalamocortex or whatever it is, but around like anywhere from 16 to 24 weeks, the parts of the brain that we believe are necessary for deploying a
Who's
conscious
we?
experience.
When you say
the
we-
scientific community broadly. When
So
they're
you're saying,
analyzing-
so would you say your standard is at 16 weeks that abortion should
I don't know
be
when
cut
exactly
off?
it is. You could put it at 16 if you want to be
How can it be a
careful.
workable standard for determining which people are legally protected and which people aren't? How is that
Because we have
possibly a workable
gradients in
standard?
law all the time. There are plenty of things where we might not know the exact moment, so we back it up to a particular moment in time because say
So
16
you're
weeks to make
here
there.
saying that abortion should be legal.
Yeah.
Are you saying all abortion should be legal, or what abortion should be legal and which should be illegal? In your
I would argue that because of how doctors have to approach medically required abortions for the life of the mother, even in later trimesters, that all abortion should be legal because if you start to make it illegal, then what happens is
Okay,
in the
this is a
second
new
trimester-
position, is it not? That you think abortion should
that's
all be
the legal argument. Morally, I would say that an elective abortion should be.
Is this a new position? I'm just curious. That all abortion should be legal in
It's
your
the
view?
position I have right now on stage.
Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Do you think that a woman having an abortion of a baby at 34 weeks old because she no longer wants to be pregnant, there's no severe health issues or anything, that should be legally permitted in this country?
I would say it's immoral, but it should be legally protected.
Okay. Do you think a baby at 9 months old, moments before birth, it is legal to kill that? It should be legal to take the life of that baby.
My only contention here is I'm pretty sure in those cases they would just deliver the baby. I don't
Well,
know
they
if
would want to kill. I mean, you can deliver the baby at 34 weeks and the baby can survive. It's a
Sure,
high
so I don't
chance
know
of
if they would. I
survival.
don't know if they would ordinarily kill the.
Well, let's just say,
baby
do they have the right in your country?
the legal
abortion
right?
is totally
The
legal.
legal right
Yes.
probably, but the moral right I would say
So
no.
why would you restrict infanticide the day after delivery of a baby? Why would you legally restrict that if you even would,
Because there's no
versus
more-
a day before birth?
Because there's no more counterbalancing of the woman's rights to her body with the right of a child to live.
So you would not legally restrict you would legally restrict infanticide.
Yeah, I think killing babies is bad generally.
But what if a mother does not want to care for that newborn baby?
Should you give it up for adoption or turn it over to the state?
What if the state doesn't want to care for that newborn baby?
Then we're in a different country with a different legal system. I have to think of a
Do
different.
adults have responsibilities for children?
Generally speaking, yeah, we
Do they have the do adults generally speaking have the responsibility to use their bodies to take care of children?
to use their bodies.
Yes.
No, we go to work and stuff. But we don't
Who's
use
going
our
to take care of
bodies.
this baby that's being placed for adoption? An adult has to take that.
You don't put it in your body and take care of it that way.
But they still have to use their body to take care of this child, to feed and nourish and house this child. Is that not true?
It's a difference in kind of action.
I'm not asking about difference in kind. I'm asking if you think that adults have a responsibility generally to take
my
care of
God.
children.
To take care of children, yes. To use their body like that, no.
So they don't have
Apologies
to
for the
use their
interruption,
bodies,
but
they
we've
just
reached
say
the
so.
end of this segment.
Thank you.
The first question for discussion is for Lila. How do you view crisis pregnancy centers that disguise themselves to appear as medical reproductive clinics? Instead of offering legitimate healthcare, these facilities aim to dissuade women from receiving abortions or even general contraceptive options. They do this by spreading misinformation or using scare tactics. Do you see this as acceptable, or do you find it hurtful towards your cause?
It is false that pregnancy resource centers falsely misrepresent themselves. They are pro-life centers. They provide options for women, which includes support for carrying a child to term and parenting a young child, as well as adoption referrals. And I think that is real empowerment for women and real support to respect the dignity of the human person. And I think it's really shameful that there have been some very dishonest pro-abortion media attacks against these nonprofit centers that are doing incredible work in communities to serve low-income families. And instead, historically, we've spent money to abortion facilities and chains like Planned Parenthood and not funded the care of our young families. I think pregnancy resource centers are doing incredible work and deserve our support. And we should actually be defunding abortion facilities and closing them and giving our support to centers that actually support human life and dignity.
Thank you for that response.
Hi, Lila. Within the fight against abortion, there's been some division over how the law should treat those who participate. Some believe that both the abortion provider and the mother should face criminal penalties, while others disagree. What is your position on this issue, and how can we go about bringing unity within our movement?
I think that there should be criminal penalties for those that intentionally and willfully take human lives. And that can be the abortion provider, certainly, and that can be a mother and or a father. So I don't think that we should be giving anyone special immunity just because they happen to be a female or a male. I think that if there's willful and intentional, with full knowledge, pursuit of the killing of an innocent human life, there should be legal penalties for that.
My question for Destiny is, pro-life advocates at times contend that allowing abortion sends a message that human life is disposable, and that this cultural mindset contributes to wider social problems. From a pro-choice standpoint, how do you respond to this idea that abortion leads to a broader erosion of the value we place on human life?
Yeah, I would argue that every time these questions are brought up, it seems to only consider life from the moment of conception, which they'll just give, as an assumed given, but then it never really balances the rights of the mother whose body now has to be a host or a gestation incubator for, a thing that they might not want to have anything to do with for the rest of the 9 months. I think that's an argument that is fully informed by your view on abortion. I think that if you believe that life is a human life that should be protected at the very moment of conception, then obviously all forms of abortion would be something that would degrade human life in general. But I think if you sit on the other side of that and you look at how people speak about babies, they speak of them as responsibilities or consequences or punishments for engaging in immoral sexual behavior, well, then it feels like the degradation of human life is coming more on the pro-life side, and that instead conception is basically just weaponized against women as another form of social control.
Thank you for your answer.
Okay, Destiny. So you've argued in previous debates as well as this one that human value begins with their first conscious experience. Scientific literature, however, does not have a consensus on this time frame, even though it's suggested around 16 to 20 weeks, as well as there's no definitive means of measuring consciousness. Shouldn't the ethical and legal default be to protect life rather than to risk the death of an innocent being who you have admitted would be deemed as valuable?
No, I think that sometimes we just have to make tough calls on rights that we dole out to different individuals. The one that I brought up before was the distinction between adults and children. There might be some children that have better mental faculty at 16 than some adults do at 25 or 35 or 55, depending on how crazy the adults are. But this is still a call that we have to make, that we have to roughly bracket off. I know that the counter argument to that is basically, well, aren't you here risking something of a far greater harm, that you might be killing a potential life? But again, I say that it's a balancing act, and the idea that a woman would have to endure a 9-month pregnancy just on the off chance that something at 1 or 2 weeks has a mind like ours that's even worth protecting, I think it's a price that some people are too willing to bite the bullet on without fully considering. I think that if that same type of thing could be imbued on a person, that if there was a magical pregnancy wand that imbued you with all the traits of being pregnant for 9 months without the baby, that if a person was coming to you with that wand to touch you with it, whether you're a man or a woman, I think most people would say you have the right to kill that person before they even got to you. But for some reason, when it comes to conception, that's just a thing that every woman is just expected to bear with no say over what goes on inside of her body.
Thank you, Destiny, for your answer.
I don't find the answers very compelling that for some reason we would give a special pass on certain.
Oh, this is conclusions.
Thank you, Destiny, for your answer.
I don't find the answers very compelling that for some reason we would give a special pass on certain types of infanticide, but not other types of infanticide. I think that is very telling. It feels very intuitive, I would say, for Lila's position that there is something that is fundamentally different about a conceived embryo, a conceived zygote, a conceived prior to 8 weeks, just a bundle of cell thing. There seems to be something different about that in kind to what would be a born baby. I don't think there's any world where anybody would willingly make the concession that a 6-month-old child could just die, that you could present this body to a hospital, and that we should all just go on with our lives and expect that nothing would be investigated or nothing would come from that. We do know that there are a whole bunch of behaviors that a pregnant mother could engage in that could induce an abortion, and especially with abortion being illegal in Lila's world, we would expect a lot of people to engage in such behavior. So I do believe that her world would mandate some sort of investigations or criminal involvement for basically everybody that gets pregnant. To take it one step further, I also think that in her world, I think that we would approach the concept of conception completely differently. We truly believe that every single miscarriage was the moral equivalence of a child dying, even if it is through natural processes. This would literally be the biggest scourge of our time. Is 1 million innocent, undefended, just totally pure babies that are dying every single year. I believe according to the CDC, some 1 million a year. We would be doing everything we could to minimize the amount of death. And the idea that we would let people engage in sexual activity willy-nilly, that they could be getting pregnant and then killing babies by having a miscarriage and not doing the due diligence that they would need to make sure that they have a healthy pregnancy, I don't understand how that comports with Lila's view. I think that every woman engaged in any kind of sexual activity would basically be mandated to not drink or engage in any behavior that we would deem as high risk to any fetus, because who's to say you could be pregnant before you realize it, and you could be engaging in what would be the equivalent of manslaughter in any other circumstance. We live in a democratic society where we have to tolerate some differences in beliefs. There are many perspectives that exist in this country that disagree with one another, but at the end of the day, we all have to live under the very same set of laws. In my worldview, the abortion question is a simple, one-sided question. In Lila's worldview, it is a balancing act. On one side of the equation, the harm is inarguable. Pregnancy represents a severe injury against a woman's autonomy, as well as her physical and mental health. It requires lifestyle changes, introduces sometimes fatal medical complications, and forces a physical burden to be endured for months while a woman's body is used to gestate a growing fetus. Even if one doesn't fully agree with my position, one must acknowledge that there is a legitimate, substantial disagreement over when a fetus becomes a person who has rights that are morally defensible. When clear and obvious harms exist on one side, opposite of the hypothetical and religious harms on the other, the only collective moral decision we can make is to preserve in law a woman's right to choose.
Destiny's argument seems to boil down to that because pregnancy can pose a burden to women, therefore abortion should be legal at the will of the mother, which is a different position that he's taken in the past, and I respect his obviously freedom to change his position. But the reality is abortion is a direct killing of an innocent life. Abortion is not just a magical, the baby disappears, switch that you flip. Abortion is an active killing of an innocent life. So if you want to talk about the mother's right, absolute right to end the life of her child versus the child's right to life, I think any just society has to weigh the child's right to life as paramount. And that's because our country is founded on that. We are founded on equal protection under the law. We are founded on life being the first human right. And the reality is that we all came into this world dependent, defenseless, and completely in need of nurture and help. We all came into the world this way.
I should have done more on the positive versus negative rights, because there's no other part of our system requires you to give up your body for anybody. Like nothing, even if you're a murderer, like you can't, yeah.
And to live in a world that says your dependency, the dependency that you have on your mother, in the case of obviously an unborn child, is the reason that you should not be protected legally anymore because you're so dependent, because women have this responsibility now as a mother to carry, to safely usher that child till birth, and then if they want, they can place for adoption, but they still have the responsibility. Even at birth, the child is still valued and needs a responsibility.
Why does she get to speak first and last? That doesn't seem fair. Usually, I think going second is usually considered a benefit, no? So I went second in the opening, and then I go first in the closing?
The mother to carry that child safely to a safe harbor. That's why it would be illegal for a mother to give birth and just put a child in the trash in our current legal system. The reality is we all started life dependent. Many of us end our life dependent. And our humanity is what gives us value and rights. It's not our ability to be strong and independent. If we use that standard, the worldview that Destiny is positing and arguing for ultimately is a worldview of material utilitarianism, to say that if you are strong enough and independent enough, then you have a right to live. But if you are dependent and you're not strong enough, then others who are stronger and you are dependent don't have the right to kill you. And that, I believe, is an unjust world that has led to the horror of today's abortion rate of 1 million children being killed every day, every year, 2,800 children being killed every day. What kind of world do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a world that sees human life as valuable and believes that human rights exist for all?
Why do you not wear your suits for formal debates? Because I don't think I'm a suit person. Fuck that.
All humans. Or do we want to create arbitrary standards? In this case of Destiny's position, birth is his standard. It isn't even consciousness anymore. He left that standard
she refuses to engage also with there's like a legal and a moral distinction too.
Side, and now it is birth. Birth is the standard for human rights in Destiny's position. And I believe that is an arbitrary standard that is wrong and that has led and is leading today to the great injustice of abortion. The bottom line is any one of us, all of us, need to be protected at some point in our life. You will be dependent even as a person of middle age at some point. Maybe you're in a hospital. Your dependency on other people is ultimately not does not remove you from value.
The end of your life.
Thank you. Your dependency actually is part of your humanity, and every human life deserves protection. Thank you.
Thank you both.
They up the mics on that.
My question is directed at Destiny. If you believe homosexual couples can have surrogates to have a baby, should they be allowed to abort the baby if, let's say, 2 months into the pregnancy, they decide that they don't want it anymore?
I mean, it really wouldn't matter where the baby comes from. If it's prior to that, especially 16-week cutoff, I'd say, yeah, anybody can make that decision.
Okay, thank you.
What trait distinguishes unborn human, embryo, zygote, baby, child, potential fetuses from an innocent animal that makes it right to kill them?
They're members of the human species. So under the law of biogenesis, if you have human parents, then you are human. So if you are a embryo that has a human mother and a human father, then you're a member of the human species and deserve legal protection.
I should have cut in and I should have said, so we're the first, but I don't even know if she believes in evolution. We're the first Neanderthal children, not humans, or I don't even know.
This one is for Destiny. First of all, big fan, and I got that Wolfenstein reference. Really appreciated that.
Thanks.
I want to respectfully ask you, if we intuitively understand that it is immoral for a pregnant woman to drink alcohol knowing she's pregnant to the extent that it would disable her child, then why would it be immoral to disable a child in the womb but not to kill a child in the womb?
Because you're not causing the harm to the developing fetus, the harm will be caused to a future person that will basically inherit that harm. So if you engage in a behavior and it leads to, let's say you decide to have an abortion of an 8-week-old, there's already nobody to speak of that's been harmed. If you start drinking alcohol and then you have an abortion later, then you would say that nobody was harmed. But if you are setting somebody up to be damaged in the future, that would be immoral, not because you're damaging anything right now, but because you know you're committing a harm to a person that will be there in the future.
My question is for Destiny, and I'm curious if you believe that fathers have any right to the child that would supersede a mother's choice to an abortion.
Do fathers have rights to a child that supersedes a mother's rights to an abortion? I would say, unfortunately, in this case, probably not. It's just because of how, I guess, God has doled out our roles. Like, the mother is the one whose body has to be used for gestation. The man can't share in that responsibility, so it would probably be the mother's call exclusively.
Why would that be unfortunate? You said unfortunately.
Why would that be unfortunate? Well, it's unfortunate because life isn't fair, and we genetically or biologically, we dole out different roles to different people. I think the conversation would be much different and much more interesting if men and women had an equivalent chance of getting pregnant, but because all of it falls to one side, the moral burden, then I would say that probably the decision-making all falls to one side as well.
My question's for Destiny. Destiny, how does your view of specifically consciousness not erode the idea of human equality? And so, like, specifically, right, if our value is based on our consciousness, as Lila stated in her opening, that's in flux. And so even if you believe that someone with, let's say, Alzheimer's or something does deserve the right to life, wouldn't your view at least imply that they are...
This guy looks familiar. Fuck, I keep forgetting his name. Caleb? He's been on a lot of Jubilee shows.
Less of a valuable human being than someone that doesn't have Alzheimer's? And wouldn't this erode the idea of human equality?
I don't think it erodes the idea of human equality at all, because I mean, all of us theoretically can start to have neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease. When it comes to dealing with people who are reaching, especially the end of their life, I mean, we literally make these types of decisions, and we already have like medical terminology. So DNRs, do not resuscitate, are already things that exist for people who have reached advanced stages of certain diseases that they can elect to sign. When it comes to Alzheimer's disease, my understanding is one of the more common ways that these people basically die is as the brain degenerates and they lose a lot of motor control. When they swallow, there's a lot of like bad stuff that goes between the airway and the normal tube for having food, and they get infected.
Esophagus retard.
They develop pneumonias and all of this. You can infinitely resuscitate a person, or not infinitely, but over and over and over again to keep a person alive. But at some point, when you realize the mind is degraded enough, you kind of make a decision like, okay, well, if this is how it happens, then this is how it's going to go. But that's in the case of like more permanent mind damage, like Alzheimer's disease. When it comes to people sleeping or waking up, like I go back to my McDonald's analogy, like a McDonald's that closes and then opens again the next day, there's a McDonald's there to speak of. When you go to sleep tonight, you're not disappeared from reality. Like, people know who you are. You've asserted some level of preferences. You can be woken up like pretty immediately. There's a person there to speak of, and even if you didn't feel any physical pain, we can still say there's a moral injury or moral harm by ending your life, because there's a life to speak of there that belonged to a person that was worth defending. For somebody that's never come into consciousness before, it's hard to even speak of who's being harmed besides a collection of cells that isn't even aware of itself yet.
Mainly for Destiny, I'm sure you're familiar with what Clinton said about abortion, that it should be safe, legal, and rare. I'm wondering how you feel about people getting multiple abortions, like 6 or 7 in 1 year. And I don't know the statistics, how like common that is, but how do you feel about that and the idea of creating laws that enforce and prevent multiple abortions? And for Lila, would you be open as sort of like a compromise to accept a law that limits people's ability to get abortions?
For mine first, if it's before that 16-week cutoff, then I guess I wouldn't really care. It'd be the same as contraception to me. There's a lot of religious people that view Plan B as being the equivalent of having an abortion. If it's after that point, would you make limitations for it? I mean, I'm sure at some point there would be, I mean, if I'm telling her that she would have to begin investigations for, miscarriages, then in my world, we would have to commit to some kind of investigation for, a second or third trimester abortion. I imagine there would be behavior that if you would engage in it enough, at some point, there would be a mandatory check-in or to figure out what's going on. And then, would you ban that person from having more abortions? I don't know how it would work. You're getting into weird topics of like forced sterilization. Like, what if they kept giving birth to children that they kept abusing or kept having given to the state? I don't know exactly what the answer would be there, but prior to 16 weeks, it's all whatever to me. After 16 weeks, I think you're looking at a human mind that's being destroyed. And I think it's worth taking a more critical look at that than what I would prior to 16 weeks.
So abortion is already illegal legal in over a dozen states, and they're not miscarriage policing every miscarriage. Do I support abortion restrictions? Of course. I support completely abolishing abortion, though. That is the goal of the pro-life movement, is legal equal protection under the law to be enshrined for every human life, beginning inside and outside of the womb. If I'm in a red state, if I'm in a blue state like California that permits abortion effectively up until 9 months, and Gavin Newsom came to me and said, do you want me to ban some abortions? I would say, of course. I mean, I want you to ban all abortions, but I would be happy to see some banned as a first step. But I think it is possible. We've already done this successfully in this country in multiple states. We've been able to abolish abortion. And because Roe v. Wade was overruled as an unjust ruling, we now have the freedom to protect more lives, at least on the state level. So I think that we should be totally abolishing abortion.
During your debate with Lila on the Whatever podcast a few years ago, you used a lot of John Locke's arguments based on personhood and the capacity to have conscious experience and subjective. When we look at the people who do forget parts of their memories in life, such as a person that suffers from amnesia, who doesn't remember anything, let's just say they're a brand new person with consciousness but has no recollection on who they were or the people around them, and have lost all sense of their personhood. According to your framework, Stephen, this person would not be considered the same person pre-amnesia because this person no longer has the recollection of their past subjective conscious experiences, because personhood relies on consciousness relies on memory and subjective experiences. So this is where Lila's question about during that debate was left unanswered. Does that then give a collective society the right to kill a person who has amnesia, since they are no longer the same person?
So I think the ontology of like person, or what that encompasses, if you think about it, I think it does include some type of memory. That seems to be a pretty important constituent element of who we are. A thought experiment I had on this was, imagine you are able to consent to you getting punched in the face tomorrow for $100, but imagine that once you consent to it, I'm going to wipe your memory of you consenting to it. And you know this beforehand, so you get to make this full decision knowing exactly what will happen. If you make that agreement and then I wipe your memory, and then tomorrow some guy walks up to you, punches you in the face, gives you $100, I don't think you're going to feel like you consented to that punch. Something's going to feel off or wrong. Even if you were shown a video of you consenting to the thing, it would almost feel like a doppelganger, because with the alteration of the memory, something is just not there. So when a question is asked about like if a person doesn't have memory, if a person doesn't have this or that, this is like one of the fundamental traits of what I think it means to be a person. Now, realistically, there are some people that have these kind of like amnesia, there's a word I'm looking for, but people that have amnesia suffer from it. 7-Second Man on YouTube is like the most famous version of this. The easy escape, I would say, is just because you're no longer the same person you were before doesn't mean you're not a person now, right? So I could just say that. Like, you might be becoming a new person every time, but it doesn't mean that you could be killed just because you're not the same person you were because your memory is altered so much. The more difficult approach is, I think you truly, at some point, there are things that we can strip away from a human mind where I think we would fundamentally consider this person something completely different. If you could imagine the removal, zombies, I guess, are a really good example. You could alter a mind such that, they only experience anger, they just want to bite people and turn them into other zombies, and they have no capacity for speech or empathy or whatever. Like, at some point, would you consider the body that's trying to attack you, in a zombie-like manner, is this a human anymore? I think it gets really hard to answer that question. I would say we're looking at something that's ontologically different than what I would consider a person to be.
The question as well. I think if you are defining personhood as dependent on your memory, your ability to have memory, or your ability, of course, to have consciousness, whatever varying degree you pick of consciousness, then yeah, you have serious philosophical issues, because all of a sudden, is that still the person, like you just asked, after an amnesia, that their person that existed before, is this now a new legal person, because it's now a completely wiped free brain, and now you have to completely have a new legal person in place, and are the rights of that person now different? Again, these are the kinds of pretzel mind games we fall into when we create an arbitrary standard for humanity, and to say that your development of your brain, or the capacity for you to be deploying consciousness, or your memories, or all of these fluid definitions, because the reality is it's very hard to have one definition. Even Destiny was not able to define consciousness under one definition, and so to say that your moral worth is dependent on this really non-existent definition so far of consciousness is a really dangerous path, and that's why it leads to things like Baby Jacks could be executed at 2, or whatever it is. It's a far better position to say, if you are human, then whether you're conscious or not, whether it's deployed or not, whether you have memory or not, doesn't matter. If you're human, that's enough. You possess human rights.
Thank you. Hi. Firstly, I just wanted to say thank you, Destiny. All the liberals out there, appreciate everything, all the work you do, me especially. Question is directed at Lila. I believe you have a very extreme stance, wanting to make abortion completely illegal, and the topic of medically necessary abortions and what constitutes medically necessary abortion, as well as how that decision is it made with the mother and a doctor, and et cetera, et cetera. But would you say, because you also stated that sex outside of marriage, with the purpose of recreation, or not intending to have a child or carry it to term, would you, if you could legislate it, would you make sex outside of marriage illegal?
No, of course not. Because I think people have the freedom to do things that, are morally wrong, and not every moral wrong should be illegal. But moral wrongs that should be illegal have to do with fundamental human rights, like your right to live. You can't enjoy any other human right, like freedom of religion or freedom of speech, if you're not alive and you're not protected from lethal violence against you, which is the case of abortion. It's lethal violence against a child. And you referenced you use the term medically necessary, I think, abortion, and the reality is abortion is not medically necessary. And that's not my opinion. That's thousands of medical experts who say that, both in the United States and globally. And I've worked with pro-life OBGYNs, and we work with them regularly at Live Action, who say that you can love them both in a medical setting and care for both mother and baby. In very rare emergency situations, you may need to do an early delivery, but the goal is not to destroy the baby and kill the baby. The goal is ultimately to save both lives. And that's how I think our healthcare system should run. I think what's extreme is the fact that we're permitting the murdering of children, direct and intentional dismemberment and starving to death of unborn human beings.
What if the mother was to die, even though it's before 16 weeks?
You're saying, what if the mother were to die? In what case? You're saying in a medical emergency, the mother may die?
You can deliver the baby. Right? What if the mother's to die?
As I said, in an extreme emergency situation where there's no other solution except an early delivery, that can be morally illicit.
I'm sorry, there's no more follow-up
But the goal there is not to kill the baby.
Would you make it illegal for at 8 weeks, woman is pregnant, she's going to die if she carries through the pregnancy, and you can't deliver a viable fetus at 8 weeks?
She didn't answer that question.
Would you make that type of abortion illegal?
So this is a hypothetical that's been used multiple times, and I've worked with, again, thousands of medical professionals who talk about this. There's a whole American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists who work with high-risk pregnancies. Usually those, really the only ones that are documented that we have looked at and addressed that there's no other way except an early delivery is later in pregnancy. So this idea of an 8-week-old with a baby itself, the fact that the baby is somehow causing this emergency situation, find me one case where that has happened.
Usually these are when a woman gets pregnant for a second time, there could be like an autoimmune reaction or there's an immune reaction that causes.
Well, you can treat that, Destiny, and that's the
so
whole
you would
thing.
mandate that, so you would make all of those illegal, regardless of the sex of the mother.
You should not just go knee-jerk reaction, kill the baby. You treat the condition that the mother is facing.
Fuck, I wish I could remember what this is called. I feel like I've heard this before. Does anybody know what this is called? Like the second time you get pregnant, sometimes you have an immune response to the baby and your body's fucked. Does anybody know what this is called? I know I've heard this before. I don't know in what. Second baby pregnancy immune system reaction. So people are saying racist factor? Incompatibility? Is that it? It's called RH incompatibility. I have a feeling you guys are talking about something that's, I don't know if that's. Wait, is it this? I think it explicitly and specifically has to do with like the second pregnancy, not just like some incompatible, like it's a second pregnancy thing, I think. I thought. Oh, it is this. Okay, hold on. Racist factor incompatibility during pregnancy. One of the first tests you may have pregnant, blood test for your blood type. It usually isn't a problem in your first pregnancy. That's because the baby's blood doesn't normally enter your circulatory system when you're pregnant. But sometimes mothers and baby's blood can mix. This can happen due to delivery. Tests like amniocentesis, vaginal bleeding, a doctor moving a baby from feet or bottom first to head first before birth, an injury to the mother's belly, a miscarriage or an abortion of the blood mixes. The mother's body sees the Rh protein in the baby's blood as a foreign substance or something that shouldn't be there. The mother's body then starts making antibodies against the Rh protein. If you're Rh positive and your baby's father is Rh negative, it's okay if your baby is Rh negative. You're okay. Their antibodies are harmless until the second pregnancy or a later one. If a mother ever carries another Rh positive child, her Rh antibodies will see the Rh proteins on the surface of the baby's blood cells as foreign. Her antibodies will pass through the baby's bloodstream and attack those cells. Is this a thing that you can treat for, or it can be treated with a medicine called RhoGAM or rhodiimmune globulin, which acts like a vaccine. It prevents the body from making this. Chance to probably get 2 shots. I wonder how successful this is. Maybe it's fairly successful. You also might get a dose of this if you have a miscarriage. In rare cases, if the infection is severe and the baby's in danger, the child might need an intrauterine transfusion. After delivery, a baby might need a blood transfusion called an exchange transfusion. Huh, okay. I shouldn't have to push for a specific example here, though. She should be able to answer the hypothetical. I don't need to know every disease.
To save her life and to protect her life and to safeguard the life of the child. When in every possible case, the issue with our healthcare system is that if there's any issue, if the baby, literally, my nephew was missing his hand in utero, they found this out at the 20-week scan as an example, right? They recommended abortion, knee-jerk reaction because the baby was less than perfect. If there's any health issue the mother has, hypertension, high blood pressure, maybe you...
Ectopic pregnancies also, you're just shut up. Well, yeah, but I think she would say that like ectopic pregnancies don't count because it's not a natural course or something like that.
You should have an abortion. Abortion is recommended as this panacea solution to really any situation, when the reality is you can, and they do, and there's countries that are totally pro-life and ban abortion. They have very good maternal care and low maternal mortality rates. Before Ireland made abortion legal, they had one of the best maternal healthcare systems in the world and the lowest maternal mortality rates, lower than the United States.
Really quick, what's your best Pizzagate level conspiracy theory around all the new Epstein shit happening? Do you think that Trump was blowing Bill Clinton? I want it to be true. It is true. Donald Trump was giving blowjobs to Bill Clinton. The reality is there was no client list, there was no black book. There was more information that was found but that information wasn't put in any investigation because it wasn't criminally relevant. That's why when Bondi said there was more logs, there were more files found in the Southern District of New York, she was right. But when she got those logs, she realized, oh shit, I can't publish this. It looks bad. The reason why the Biden administration didn't publish it is because Hillary didn't know this either. Bill Clinton was cheating on Hillary with a variety of people. Monica Lewinsky was one of them. That came out. It was a huge scandal. But Bill Clinton was also cheating on Hillary Clinton with Donald Trump when Donald Trump was blowing Bill Clinton. The reality is Donald Trump has had affairs in the past. He's usually paid for these stories to be, what do they call them, like a buy and kill or something. You'd pay for a story and then you would kill the story and you never run it. Donald Trump has done this in the past with other people. And these were the reasons why the Democratic Party didn't publish this before, is because they thought that it would look bad on Hillary and Bill as well. So that's why there was a cover up. That's why Donald Trump had Epstein killed in prison in 2017, because they thought that he might leak it. And that's the big thing that Trump is trying to cover up. There you go. Boom. That's your QAnon level conspiracy. Run with it. Good luck. Okay.
Which had abortion legal at the time. So you can care for both patients.
My question's for Destiny. Earlier, you tied personhood to the body's and specifically the brain's capacity to host the mind. That being super important to your definition of personhood. With birth coming into play now with this stance, it can change a little bit. But I'm curious, if someone were to have such as Alzheimer's or dementia or a traumatic brain injury, and their body, and specifically their brain, lost all capacity to host the mind, which in your terms seems to define their personhood, which gives them their right to life, would that injury or that disease that removed their capacity to host their mind and thus their right to life, would they then lose their right to life? And not in a case to where if they just die, we don't resuscitate them like a DNR, but would we be then legally permissible and legally allowed to then deliberately, like in the case of abortion, not just let their life end, but take their life and end their life because of that status of their brain and their mind?
Yeah, I think we essentially already do this with people who are comatose or like in a permanent vegetative state. Like the body, I mean, like the equivalent to killing them, I guess you no longer feed them, but I mean, we already make these decisions when the person's mind is clearly unable to come back to any kind of conscious state.
Hi, my question is for Destiny, but Lila, I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you for coming. Destiny, follow up on the earlier question about fathers. Do you think that fathers have equal responsibility to their children as the mother? And if so, how do you reconcile that the child in the womb is equally the father's and the mother's to only allow the mother to decide whether or not to have an abortion?
So do I think they should have an equal responsibility? I mean, as much as possible.
Oh, also, Putin has access to that blowjob video as well. The whole reason why Assange, WikiLeaks, remember when WikiLeaks, Assange said that he had dirt on Trump, but he didn't want to release it because he said that Donald Trump makes himself look bad enough, so there's no reason for him to leak it. And you know how Putin talked about having like secret tapes and stuff related to, and it came out with the Christopher Steele prepared propaganda file. The reason why nobody's released this, Assange doesn't release it because he's literally a puppet, a tool of Russia. And Assange also fucking hates the Clintons, and he was worried that having something come out where Donald Trump is sucking off Bill Clinton actually makes Bill Clinton look better. Okay, so that's why Assange didn't leak it, and Putin doesn't leak it because he likes having that videotape underneath his thumb, so that if anything ever gets real fucking crazy in Ukraine, that's the one thing people keep asking. Why is it that Donald Trump lets Putin run circles around him over and over and over again? Why does he get mad a little bit and then walk back his positions? Because Trump also knows that Putin has that video, and he doesn't want Putin to leak that video. So that's why the Russian bots and everything don't harp on this conspiracy as well. That's why you don't see them on Twitter amplifying the whole Epstein and Trump connection, is because Putin likes to keep that in his back pocket for propaganda purposes and for control of Trump. There you go.
But I mean, the child can only be carried by the mother. There's no other way for, at least as far as I'm aware, is for the father to carry the child to term. So as long as the child is using the mother's body, then it's the mother's body that has the autonomy threatened the most. It's the one that has to endure most of the gestation and delivery process. It's not the man at all. So I mean, as long as she's the one that kind of has to suffer that burden, she should be the one that gets to make the call on whether or not she carries it to term.
Even though the baby is not 75% the mother's, it's 50% the mother's and 50% the father's.
I mean, the baby might be 50% the mother and 50% the father, but it's 100% in the mother's body.
But it's also 50. It's 100% also the father's child, right? It's also his child.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, somebody could own a safe that I have more than half the money inside, but I mean, if it's their safe and it's their combination, like, I mean, they're the ones with access to it, they're the ones that move it around. Like, the father can have 50% of the genetic material, but the mother is the one that has to endure. Like, a father can get a mother pregnant and then just completely leave and vanish forever. Mother doesn't have that luxury. It's not even a potential for the mother to do, because she has to carry the baby to term, and there's no way to share that responsibility.
Should the father have to pay child support?
Should the father have to pay?
Instead of safe, I should have said car. If I put a bunch of stuff in your trunk, I don't own your car. I should have said
child support.
He would prefer abortion, but she's insisting on not.
There's a difference between like a moral question here and like a state question.
Legally.
Well, so legally we mandate the father pay child support because when the courts are looking at the child, they only care about the concern of the child. So it's not more like is it fair to the mom or is it fair to the dad? It's just child support should be paid because the care of the child is that's what the state has the biggest interest in. And I think that's probably fair. Generally, it takes two to tango.
But even if he wanted the abortion, he's on the hook for 18 years of child support.
Sure. There might be some argument to be made if you have like a written statement or something saying like if I get pregnant, I will have an abortion or whatever. And then if the mother decides not to, then the father might have some financial option there. But it would have to get into that territory, I guess.
Hi, you guys did a great debate. You guys, it went by really quickly, I feel like. My question is for Lila. Do you place, I guess, the baby's life higher than a woman's? In the case of like Adriana Smith in Georgia, where there was abortion bans, and they used her as an incubator even though the baby was, 6 weeks? What is your stance on that?
So no, the baby's life does not take priority to the mother's life. I think this is something that gets lost sometimes in these debates. I think they're equal in value, and they should both be treated as patients in a medical setting. And in the case of Adriana, she was deceased, and they were using her body to continue to shepherd that baby until the baby had the opportunity to be delivered. And then the transfer of care could go to another adult to take care of that infant. I think that's a wonderful thing. I mean, Chance is now 8, I think, weeks old.
The killer follow-up question to this, I just thought of, is should people be mandated to be organ donors? Because that's essentially what you're doing with that woman's body, is you're mandating her to be an organ donor. Would you mandate that for all of society? She might just bite the bullet on that and say yes, though.
And he's thriving. He's born. He's healthy. I'm so glad he's here. And to say that he should have been killed because his mother was also killed in that tragic accident, I think is completely wrong and unfair to Chase.
Hi, Lila. I'm a big fan of your work from Live Action, so I have a question for you today. Today, you've made the argument based on a secular view from biology, ethics, and constitutional law, but I know you're also a religious person. So for you, is your religious conviction more powerful in persuading you against abortion than your secular support? And should that be the case for society, even though we're not a theocracy?
Thank you for your question. So when I was in high school, and I started Live Action at 15, so it's been a while, I went through a period of time where I wasn't sure if I had any religious belief, or I was exploring different religions or lack of religion. And during that time, I was just as passionately pro-life. And so, and I met wonderful pro-life, very secularists or atheists or agnostics, however you want to call them. And so I think that I believe that my faith absolutely makes me passionate about love and loving God and being loved by God. And I do think that it's very clear that faith teaches that life is sacred and made in God's image. And I think that a society that sees that is going to be a healthier society that can flourish more, not just in eternity, obviously, because eternal souls are online, but in this life. But I also think that you don't have to base your argument on religious belief or articles of faith. You can base it on natural law, what can be perceived by any of us, and it's not an article of faith.
Not on articles of faith, but on natural law based. So in the case of the identical twins, can you explain what you believe is happening there in terms of life and souls? Like, does one life become two, or what is that? If you believe that life begins at the moment of conception, what's happening there?
I think life begins at the moment of fertilization, and when there is twinning that happens, then it can actually come and become two lives, which is actually an incredible miracle. So I'm not sure if are you asking about when the soul then?
Well, I guess it's interesting to me that, like, if we believe, because at that point then it wasn't a life at the moment of conception, it was after it split, and then it became two.
It split and it became two, yes, and it's an incredible miracle.
See, here she also mind fucks me. I'm like, wait, I didn't expect her to own that. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And sometimes they don't split, and they're born as Siamese twins, and they're still, miraculous lives that should be protected.
Hi, Destiny. So my question is, to what extent does the capacity to feel pain factor into someone's personhood? If hypothetically being aborted was more painful than pregnancy, would that change your perspective?
I don't think pain is a great indicator of much of anything. It's hard to quantify. And I think pain, like a pain sensation, like to see like an organism respond in some way to a sensation is a lot different than like the understanding of pain or suffering. I don't even know how you begin to measure up like one versus the other. I think I'd be really uncomfortable saying that like this person should die because they experience less pain or more pain than another person. I think I would have to, I don't know if I would factor that in as much when you talk about like ending lives.
Yeah, I think pain is an indicator, obviously, of life, but it's not the definition for life.
True. Okay. I think my three things, I should have done a better job showcasing why her worldview leads to problems. I kind of did that. Could have done it more. Load more emotional stories or anecdotes to build on arguments, such as women who've died due to new restrictive abortion laws. I could have had at least one of these. And then force her to take a stronger position on and differentiate corpses or reduce state peoples. I think I could have done this too. I think for the most part, I think it was okay though. Okay. I'll probably do something similar for preparing for the Dinesh D'Souza debate. Those will be more politically relevant arguments. Do they edit anything out? Why is the video cut so strangely? Well, there's like some like me walking up to go to the podium, her walking up to go to the podium, people, whatever. It's not, they just cut that out. I don't think anything was cut substantially that had any, yeah, whatever. You should drill down on what she means by life. Ask her, if that means she believes herself. The problem with that format is drilling down is really difficult when you're time limited, because if I drill down, then I can only ask basically one question, and that's not good. I don't think. Like, I have to be able to cover more ground. Can we get a cop slop review? Man with chainsaw versus cop with a lasso. What?
What's going on?
My kid needs help.
Where's the kid at?
He's out here with a chainsaw.
He hasn't hurt anybody?
No.
My Kentucky
But
brothers.
he's
What state is
about
this?
right in the
Sorry.
head. He got put in jail here a month ago. And They kept him in there for 15 days, and
What's his name?
William.
Okay. I'm talking to the parents. He's just out back with ago he was involved. He's out back just messing with a chainsaw. What's his
Based.
first name again?
What, is that illegal now? What, you can't have a chainsaw in your backyard? I'm sorry. What's the law against that?
Billy? Where's he at, around back here? Yeah. Billy!
Billy!
Where you at?
Oh, so we're in the nanny state now.
Billy!
Oh, he's over here.
Hey, bud! Hey, put that down, please!
Put the chainsaw down so we can chat. Okay, put it down, please.
Well, it'll run out of gas eventually, okay? What's the problem? More backup on the way. Oh my god.
Chainsaw.
He should have brought a bigger chainsaw with him.
Okay, but let's talk about it. But I can't talk to you when you have a chainsaw.
Next door. What's next door?
Can you explain why molar pregnancy is not a helpful example? Because she'll just say something about like, well, that's not the natural order. Cancer cells of babies aren't supposed to be in bodies or something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't lean into the ectopic pregnancy
Well,
thing.
you can't do anything about that with a chainsaw,
Apparently he's
man.
refusing to put the chainsaw down at the moment.
Want to set it down?
Burnt bodies?
He's not really threatening anybody with it. He's just refusing to put it down.
Yeah, so what's the problem?
Put it down so we can chat. I'm not taking you to jail, man. You want to talk to him?
No.
We just need one person to chat.
Yeah. Hey, you want to put it down? We'll talk. You're not going to jail. Billy, where are you going?
I want to see.
Billy.
Do you have a creek back there?
Hey, Billy. Hey, brother. Hey. My name's Matt. Can we come forward?
Oh, you want my 40?
If you want to jump in the water and get him, we're trying to get him out of the water first.
What? He's water chainsaw, man.
Just letting one person chat with him, see if Matt can get him. We started walking towards him. He took a couple times. He's acted like he's going to start the chainsaw.
Yeah,
Come on
problem.
down here. Go bump the boy. I need help. Come on, the boy. I need your help. Hey, bud. I need your help. We're trying to help you. Have it come up on this side. Need some help. Hey, we'll help you out, but you gotta come up on
He's out of
this side.
gas for his chainsaw.
You're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, come out of the swamp, leave the chainsaw, and come talk to us, bro.
Right up on the bank. We'll talk. How's that?
Said he just killed somebody next door?
Did they?
You said he just killed somebody next door?
Did they just kill somebody next door? The dad says that he's claiming the neighbors killed somebody.
Oh.
We'll do a welfare check over there when we're done just to make sure.
No one's dead.
I ain't going swimming today. Will you come show us so we can go over there and check? All right, come show us, Billy. Show us where it's at. We'll go over there and we'll check on him. But you got to come out without the chainsaw, man. Come up here and talk to us, bro.
Oh, here they come.
We're just trying to convince him to come out without the chainsaw.
Yeah, he's got the chainsaw. He's in the pond.
Somebody was chasing kids?
No.
Kids were chasing him?
The neighbors thought he was chasing his parents.
Oh.
And they're like, no, he's just out back playing with a chainsaw, and he's convinced somebody next door has killed somebody.
Excuse me. Why is the CCP coming over here to do law enforcement and oppress our citizens?
Billy,
So wait, what was this guy's response? Has he been out here talking to Billy before?
And they're like,
Where's the cooked dog?
No, he's just out back playing with a chainsaw, and he's convinced somebody next door has killed somebody.
Billy, we want to help you, but you got to come out of the water.
Help me. I'd love to, but I really don't feel like getting wet today, man. I'm sure you didn't have that in your plans today either.
What's his name?
Billy.
What's up, Billy? Hey, what's going on, man? How old is Billy?
Gotta be 40. I think he was born in 82. Let me go see if there's a way around that's not pond.
Who did it?
I don't know. There's Army soldiers got out of the trucks over here.
Did you see the people that got hurt?
They're super soldiers.
Super soldiers?
Yeah. Show us where they're at. I don't know, but they was doing something crazy over there.
Will you come show us?
Yeah, we'll protect.
Chainsaw Man has some insane aura farm moments. Get ready to see it in your reels. What the fuck is this movie about? It looks fucking retarded. Is he literally made of chainsaws? What is this? This looks so stupid. Does he always have chainsaws, or do they just come out when he's mad?
Safe.
I can't quite see his left hand, but it looks like.
He's got chainsaw.
Oh.
Let's go figure out what happened next door, huh?
But no chainsaws.
I can handle them saying stuff.
What are they telling you, Billy?
I don't want to get in trouble.
You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. What happened to the people next door? You said somebody ran a saw through them?
Yeah, next door.
Like a chainsaw?
What other saws are there?
No, we know it's not you. We want to go figure it out, bro.
Is there a way around that pond that we're not getting wet?
Just, you can drive over there if you want. You want me to open the gate?
No, I just make sure we can walk around if need be. You want to see if you can talk him out? See if, well, maybe you can get him to come out of the pond. Hey, we're going to see if Dad can talk him out.
I'm like 50-50 on walking in here.
No.
I don't want to.
No. On what? He's not harming himself. He's not harming others.
Billy,
Yeah, he's fine. Just leave him.
come on. Get out of there.
Man wants to walk through a swamp with his chainsaw. That's a beautiful thing.
If need be, there's a road that goes around.
I think we should go
Guy's
do a
got
welfare check
COVID,
on the people
Jesus.
next door and see if we actually have anything. If not, we got a dude standing in a swamp.
I'm gonna do that. He said these people over here.
Right here in the blue house.
I'll check them.
We should make sure they're okay.
Come out and talk to us, bro. Come out now. You're not in trouble. We're just worried about you and want to make sure everything's all right.
If he doesn't come out pretty soon, you can't talk him out. We might just leave until he comes out on his own and come back and deal with him when he's not in the water. You know, when we can keep him from going in the water.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Schizophrenia, you said?
You got a little everything.
A little bit of
What does that mean?
everything. Okay. No drug use or anything like that?
No.
Just pure mental health.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he currently a danger to himself or others? I mean, has he made any threats to harm anybody or harm himself or anything like that?
No.
And he's not charging people with the chainsaw. He's just acting odd.
Swinging it at me.
The chainsaw?
Yeah.
While it's running?
Yeah.
What's his mental capacity? Like, what's his age level? Doctors ever tell you?
17.
And he swung the chainsaw at you today.
What was he saying? Did he say anything while he was doing it? How close was he to you? I can demonstrate with me.
Right here.
How far did the chainsaw miss you?
Oh, about. He said F you while swinging the chainsaw at you. Well, there you go.
So now we got PC to arrest him?
Yeah.
He's just got to get evaluated.
No, I mean, at this point, it's significant enough.
Well,
he's
Hatch,
gonna.
thanks for the $5.
He's going to.
Don't.
I know, and I know it ain't the perfect system, right? But he can't be swinging a chainsaw at you, screaming "F you."
Why not,
I'm gonna go
bro?
grab my 40 just in case. Hey, we have PC for DV threats. He swung the chainsaw at Dad while screaming "F
Oh
you,"
my God.
but he also is severely handicapped and has a mental age of 17.
Okay.
Dad's like, he needs to go to Western State, not jail. And I'm like, dude, he's swinging a chainsaw at you, screaming "F you." So I'm gonna go grab
I
a
didn't watch
40.
the live stream now.
What else? I could lasso him.
Does he like women?
I don't know. Are you willing to put yourself that low to get him to come
Will he
on?
respond to a female voice?
What did the cop think she was suggesting?
Oh, you could try talking to him. Do you want me to grab my lasso?
talking to him.
That's what I thought. What if
We
done
could
that
pull him from the backside?
Yeah.
Oh no.
You need somebody to shoot the 40?
Yeah. Are you certified?
Yeah, I got one.
There ain't one in yet. I'm gonna go around and see if I can lasso.
You want me on your side, Jake, or over here?
You're fine on that side. I'll dive out of the way. I just want to not get into use of force with him.
You want to talk to a guy or a girl? You want to talk to a dude?
Off my heart.
Okay.
What's up, bro? Hey, you're not in trouble, but I want you to come out here out of the water and come talk to me, bro.
Hi.
Come out.
What happened?
You're not in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? And nothing happened, but I need to make...
What up, dude? This is the most oblivion NBC shit I've ever seen in my life.
Make sure you're okay. So I'm gonna need you to come out of the water for me.
Come on, boy.
Billy, you're not in trouble. I can't stress that enough.
My heart is not
Well, I want to get your heart checked on, but I need you to come out of the water without that chainsaw. Come over this way, bro.
I can tell you, if you come out of the water with the chainsaw, you will be in trouble.
Come on out.
Oh, I'm afraid.
No, don't need to be afraid.
Man, we're not here to hurt you, okay?
He says with the giant.
What is going on?
Think this will work?
This is not right.
Put that around your head.
It's just not right.
Yeah, come on, man. I don't feel like going swimming.
Does this count if you tell them to lasso them? Okay.
Put that around you right there.
This is not a real lassoer. I am offended. He's tying a rope up and throwing it at a guy, okay? I was expecting to see some yeehaw cowboy shit.
No, you're walking away from it. Put that around you. I'm gonna help you get out of the water.
What happened? We don't want you to drown.
Come on.
Kubota boy to take you.
Grab that rope right there, bro.
Just grab that rope. The rope. Oh my God.
Grab that rope right there and put it around your waist for me, brother.
What happened? Just trying to get you out of the water, that's all. Come on.
I need an elevation.
Uh-oh.
Okay, third time's a charm. Oh, he's moving it out of the way this time. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I feel like I'm watching the guys in the machine grabber game.
Come on. Can I have your chainsaw?
Is that Hassan?
Oh, come on. Billy.
It's not my fault.
You're not in trouble.
Oh my God.
Okay, fifth time, sixth time.
Oh my God.
this is like a Reno 911 episode.
Come out of the water, please.
Come on, help me.
We're trying to.
Help me.
Oh.
Grab it.
Oh, you had it, Billy.
You're supposed to put it around you.
Don't touch me.
Billy, don't fire up that chainsaw.
What's wrong with that?
Congrats.
Oh.
Did he get him? Oh, no. Bro, this guy.
I don't know if there's gators in there or what, man. I don't want to go in that water.
Oh.
Billy, grab it.
Come on, grab
Don't do not the neck. Oh my God, they're gonna kill this guy next time.
that, Billy.
Grab it.
Billy, grab it. Grab it.
Come on.
Grab it. For what? Grab it for what?
I want you to come out of the water, Billy.
I don't want to go swimming. That's my next step, man. I'm going in.
This guy thought he was like, I'm gonna get my lasso. I've been praying my whole life for this moment to show off these cool skills that I learned when I went drinking 2 years ago at some weird bar, and now I'm gonna fucking show everybody how cool I am. And here he is. He doesn't look very cool.
There's water.
Billy, you know what this is?
What?
It's a beanbag gun. It's gonna hurt when I shoot you with it. Get out of the water now,
Stop,
or
it's
I'm
not
gonna
funny.
shoot you with it, and it's gonna hurt very bad. Get out of the water, or it's gonna hurt. Drop the chainsaw and get out of the water.
Why not shoot the chainsaw? He's got a beanbag gun, so it's low stakes. The guy's standing still, nothing's going on. Why don't you just shoot the chainsaw until it falls out of his hand? Couldn't he do that?
Grab it.
Drop that chainsaw, Billy.
Oh, he got him! Oh my God, where is he?
Hey, Billy, drop that. Get up, Billy. Drop that damn chainsaw.
Okay. Help.
All right, you got that. You got that finger.
Ow. All right. Ow.
Billy.
All right. Okay, I'm calm.
Okay.
Relax. You good? You're okay.
All right. You done?
You done?
All right.
We're gonna stand up, Billy.
Stand up. Give me that hand.
I'm sorry, dude.
You're fine.
Use the legs.
Let's go. Up we go.
Up.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Easy. Come on.
You gotta read.
Uh-oh.
Billy, we're gonna get out of here and pat you down, okay?
Uh-oh.
You're stepping on it.
That's all right. We'll just take it off him.
All right, Billy, let's go.
Come on, man. Let's go for a walk. Thanks for coming out of the water, Billy. It only took 30 tries.
First try. And pat you down, Billy.
Okay.
Damn it, Billy.
I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
You just had to come out, bro. That's all. Bro, I'm so wet from this fucking rope. I might as well have gone in.
Oh, there's a flashlight.
Okay, so what's the story? You chased mom and dad?
He waved the chainsaw at dad while screaming, "F you," and in close proximity, chainsaw was whipping across the front of the
Because I had to deal with somebody.
And then we checked on the neighbors. There's nothing. All right, let's walk him out to the ambulance.
Yeah.
Billy, you're giving us so much work today, brother.
Here comes the allergies. Oh, shit.
Why'd you swing the chainsaw at your dad?
Oh, I'm telling him that he wasn't doing stuff over there. It freaked me out.
Okay. Hey, sorry that took 35 lasso tosses.
Hey, it didn't take 36. Right?
Thank you, Deputy Moss. I'm deactivating my body-worn camera.
What
do you do when the same child you once put the...
They're gonna kill him now. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, we're done with politics. I'm playing video games for an hour and a half. Stay mad. Let me do my connections first. The colors on the camera still look a bit cold compared to before. They're probably more accurate. The ones before might have been, I think I had a LUT applied before. I could technically warm the lights up on the left and right, but... Twilight season film period stage / time method salt comfort dash flavor character colon buffer spice a season a period a time wait fuck hold on Oh, wait. Punctuation. A period, a slash, a dash, and a... Wait. Colon. Okay. Things you put on food, like salt, spice, flavoring, and seasoning? What the fuck is this? Okay. Twilight. Comfort, stage, film, character, method. These are like theater things. Kinds of actors. Okay. Character actor, stage actor, film actor, method. Okay, I guess. And then comfort, twilight, buffer, and time. Buffer, twilight, comfort. These aren't like inns, like a comfort inn and suites or whatever. Am I making this up? Comfort inn? I don't know. Twilight inn? No. Buffer and time. I have no fucking idea. Oh, a zone. A buffer zone. What is a comfort zone? Like in a plane? Time zone and twilight zone? What is that? Like just the hour of the day? Oh, no, like a TV show, The Twilight Zone. Oh my god. Cringe. Oh, get out of your comfort zone. It's still cringe. Even more cringe. Shouldn't you be able to download a generic Rec 709 LUT for the camera? Maybe. I don't even know how to do that though. I haven't looked into color spacing or any of that bullshit at all. So I just have it set to either video or extended video. Whatever the fuck that means. Video games. I'll be back tomorrow at normal time for political stuff. Okay. Hold on. Let me grab my controller out of my bag. Do you think Asmund is legitimately turning into a Nazi beyond the average MAGA-tards?
Admitting we lost the battle. Everyone likes Nick Fuentes. Everyone's anti-Semitic. What do we do now?
The framing, man.
They said we got to make sure we fire them and we prevent them from taking over the institutions. That's why we have to subvert them. We have to get.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. You find out every single person that is there, and you control it as much as you can. To the extent that you can use the power, you exercise it against the people that you disagree with. That's what you do. If you want to consolidate power, if you want to win, that's how you win. And that's what they have been doing forever. They have been doing this forever.
In there. And you can do it in the private sector too. The public sector, the private sector, academia.
Sounds tedious. I know. It's
People
very
say,
tedious.
what should I do? Where should I do it? Think about the institutions the Jews control. If they control it, that's where you want to go.
God, it's so cringe that Nick is so focused on like politically effective stuff, and then Asmongold is a fucking retard who also just happens to be focused on politically effective stuff. And then the left on Twitch is Hassan Piker going to fucking China and simping for fucking Mao. Kill me. Fuentes. You know all those conspiracies we have about Jews controlling all these institutions? Well, if it's so bad that the Jews are controlling those institutions, then those are the institutions that we should seek to control. We need to flex the levers of power on these things that give us more say in what's going on behind the scenes in these congressional offices. Hassan Piker. China is actually so cool, guys. Like, listen to this state leader. I got the Red Book of Mao quotes. Oh my God. Did you guys know that China has electricity? Oh, like,